The forest was a maze of shadows, each tree a gnarled finger pointing me deeper into nowhere. My ankle throbbed, a fiery protest with every limping step. I was lost, helplessly and utterly lost. The day had started with a simple hike, a promise of scenic views and fresh air. Now, the sun was a distant memory, and the woods had transformed into a breathing, watching entity. A twig snapped behind me, my heart hammered against my ribs. It wasn't just the cold making me tremble. I had the distinct, chilling sensation of being hunted. The rustling grew closer, a predatory shuffle through the undergrowth. I scrambled forward, ignoring the searing pain in my ankle, my breath catching in ragged sobs. This was it. This was how it ended. Suddenly, a figure materialized from the darkness, so swift and silent it was as if they were woven from the night itself. They stood between me and whatever was stalking me. I couldn't make out their features, just a tall, imposing silhouette against the faint moonlight. There was a low growl from the bushes, a sound that vibrated deep in my chest, and then a blur of motion. It was over in seconds, a final, guttural cry echoed, and then silence. The figure turned towards me. My fear didn't subside, it just changed its focus. As they stepped closer, the moonlight caught their face. They were impossibly pale, with eyes that seemed to drink in the darkness. They were beautiful in a terrifying, ancient way. My breath hitched. "Hugh, what are you?" I managed to whisper, my voice barely audible. They offered a faint, sad smile. "Someone who was passing through," they said, their voice a low, melodic hum. "You're hurt." Before I could protest, they were at my side, lifting me as if I weighed nothing at all. The world tilted, a dizzying swirl of trees and stars. I expected to feel cold stone against my skin, but their touch was surprisingly gentle. "Don't be afraid," they murmured, their voices soothing balm on my frayed nerves. I felt a strange sense of calm wash over me, a stark contrast to the terror I felt just moments before. I was being carried through the night by a complete stranger, a stranger who had just fought something in the dark, and yet I felt safer than I had all day. I must have blacked out, because the next thing I knew, I was lying on a plush sofa in front of a roaring fireplace. The room was from another era, filled with antique furniture, towering bookshelves, and velvet curtains. My ankle was expertly bandaged, the throbbing reduced to a dull ache. My mysterious rescuer was standing by the window, staring out into the night. They turned as I stirred, and in the warm firelight, I could see them clearly for the first time. High cheekbones, a strong jawline, and those eyes, they held a depth that spoke of centuries. "Where am I?" I asked, sitting up slowly. "My home," they replied, gesturing around the grand room. "You were in no condition to be left in the woods." They poured a cup of something warm from a silver pot and handed it to me. "It was a fragrant herbal tea, thank you," I said, my voice still shaky. For everything, what was that thing in the woods? A shadow passed over their face, just a hungry wolf. Nothing to worrying about now. A wolf, the sounds I heard, the speed. It didn't feel like any wolf I'd ever heard of. But who was I to argue with the person who saved my life? They introduced themselves as Julian, just Julian. Over the next few days, as a storm raged outside, trapping us in the secluded manor, I got to know him. He was a paradox. He spoke of historical events with the familiarity of an eyewitness, then would discuss modern philosophy with sharp wit. He never ate in front of me, always claiming he had eaten earlier. He moved with a silent grace that was mesmerizing, and at night I would sometimes see him standing perfectly still on the balcony, as if in communion with the moon. He was the most fascinating person I had ever met. The fear I first felt was replaced by a deep curiosity, and then something more. I found myself drawn to his melancholy, his quiet strength. I started to notice things. The way he never seemed to cast a reflection in the polished silver. The way the firelight seemed to dance around him but never quite touch his skin. The impossible speed. The pieces began to click into place, forming a picture I didn't want to believe. One evening, I found him in the library, a massive leather-bound book open in his lap. I finally gathered the courage to ask, "Julian, what are you?" He looked up, his expression unreadable. He didn't deny it. He didn't have to. He simply closed the book and looked at me with those ancient, sorrowful eyes. "I am what you think I am," he said softly. The confirmation hung in the air, heavy and absolute, a vampire. The monsters from stories, the creatures of the night. But he wasn't a monster. He was my protector, my caregiver. He had saved me. Why? I asked, my voice trembling. "Why did you save me?" He stood and walked to the fireplace, his back to me. For a very long time, I have watched humanity from the shadows. I've seen its cruelty, its greed, but I've also seen its capacity for kindness, for hope. That night, in the woods, I saw your will to live, your fight. It reminded me of something I thought I had lost. He explained that his existence was a solitary one, a curse of eternal observation. He had chosen to live apart, to cause no harm, subsisting on animal blood from the forest. The creature that had been hunting me was another of his kind, a rogue vampire who had given in to his basest instincts. Julian had been tracking him, trying to stop him from hurting innocent people. I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, or perhaps the right place. In that moment, all fear vanished, replaced by an overwhelming sense of empathy. He wasn't a monster. He was a lonely soul carrying an immense burden. The legends had it all wrong. They focused on the fangs and the blood, but they missed the heart of the story, the tragic, unending loneliness. The storm eventually passed, and the roads cleared. It was time for me to go. The farewell was quiet, filled with unspoken words. He couldn't come with me, and I couldn't stay. Our worlds were too different, separated by the chasm between day and night, life and eternity. As he walked me to the edge of the woods, where the path back to my world began, he placed a small, cool object in my hand. "It was a silver locket, so you don't forget," he said, his voice barely a whisper. I looked up at him, the man the vampire who had saved my life in more ways than one. He hadn't just saved me from a monster in the woods. He had saved me from my own small, predictable view of the world. He showed me that there was magic and mystery hidden in the shadows, and that even in the darkest of creatures, there can be a glimmer of profound humanity. I never saw Julian again. Sometimes I wonder if it was all a dream, a hallucination brought on by fear and injury. But then I feel the weight of the locket around my neck, cool against my skin, and I know it was real. I returned to my life, but I was changed. I look at the world differently now, with more wonder, more compassion. I often find myself looking up at the moon, wondering if he's out there, watching from his lonely balcony. My life went on, but a part of my heart will forever remain in that timeless manner in the woods with the vampire who saved me. He taught me that heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they lurk in the shadows, fighting battles no one else can see, their only reward being the quiet continuation of the world they can never truly be a part of. And for that, I will be eternally grateful. Thank you for listening to my story. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button and subscribe for more tales from the edge of reality. See you next time.